This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Saturday Morning Mysteries, where we're your hosts. I'm Alexis.
I'm Grace.
And today, Grace is going to tell us a story from our, I guess not new anymore, we're over halfway through our show that we're covering currently, The Funky Phantom, the Hanna-Barbera, I guess also one hit wonder, one season wonder about...
Not in our hearts, though.
No. It has like 1,000 seasons in our hearts for all the wild speculation we can do.
Correct.
But yes, the 1971, I believe, show that is about an old Revolutionary War soldier who was frozen or, well, killed in a clock, in a grandfather clock with his cat Boo, and was released 200 years later in the year 1970, or no, I guess it was 76. Sorry, 1976. It's from 1976, not 71, right? Yeah, because 200 years later, he was released from this clock by a group of teenagers who were hiding in this house or seeking shelter in this house during a storm when they couldn't drive anymore. They saw the clock was set to the wrong time, manually set it to the right time, and out pops the wonderful funky phantom Mudsie and his ghost cat Boo, who now are friends with these teenagers who released them from this hellish hell of a grandfather clock for 200 years, and they solve mysteries together. So
that is a show.
That is a show. This is a real show. This is not a fever dream that y'all are having or we're having, even though it feels like it. Grace is here to tell us our fifth, that'd be right, collective fever dream. But she is going to tell us our fifth episode of this amazing show. So Grace, take it away.
Yes, thank you. Real quick, what is it called? A folie à deux, where it's like a shared delusion. That's what we're having about this
like
show. The show never happened. This is a folie à deux, and you're all witnessing it.
Exactly, you're watching it happen in real time. The two of us having a descent into madness, if you will.
Exactly. So yes,
Hanna-Barbera is like, we have no evidence that this show ever existed.
We can't even like sue them about this because it never happened.
It's not real. Yeah.
So are they?
We're concerned.
Yeah.
We're very
concerned. Do a wellness check. On them.
Anyways.
So yes, I am covering today episode 7 of Funky Phantom called Ghost Town Ghost.
Cool.
And we start off in a small town in Nevada. And this town, at least I think it's in Nevada, looks like it's straight out of the mid-1800s, the frontier days of the American West, fresh off of the Civil War, which first and foremost, I'm glad you gave that explanation of Mudsie being a revolutionary ghost, Revolutionary War ghost, because my immediate thought doesn't have to do with the plot of my episode, but what if Mudsie hadn't been a Revolutionary War ghost, but a Civil War one? And like, how would this be different? And then I thought, what if he had been a Vietnam War ghost, even though the show was in 1971? So just the middle of
as it happened,
the Vietnam War, and like, the show would be so different. It would be much less fabulous, I think.
Yes, it would be.
Because,
I mean, gosh, they're all brutal wars. So if it was the Civil War, they absolutely would have made him a Union soldier. I'm pretty sure.
I would hope
so. But the historical references would have been a lot crazier.
Yeah, it's like a lot more grim.
Instead of Heavens to Betsy Ross, it's like Devils to General Morgan or something, or like go to hell like General Morgan or Robert E. Lee. Something crazy.
You want me to wear orange? The only orange I wear is Asian orange.
Yeah, it
would have been way more fucked up.
For sure.
So again, nothing to do with today's plot, but it was on
just a general observation that especially
a
nowadays.
World War II ghost. Like,
I was gonna say nowadays, like maybe not when they were filming this, but now, like, you got to be really careful with which war ghost you're working.
At least
you have to make a very careful decision if that's going to be a main character in your show, and it's supposed to be a funny, lighthearted show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, not to say people weren't horribly mutilated and died in a Revolutionary War, but at least from America's side, we could be like, it built this country. What a noble cause. Which,
Yeah.
the other ones.
It's like
You're
a
not going to
ghost
get a
from
Korean War ghost anytime soon.
no, like a
Yeah.
ghost from fought in like Kandahar or something.
Yeah, like
Or like
you got to
Operation
be
Desert Storm.
real
Yeah.
selective
Yeah.
about your ghost picking
Ugh.
that, the 70s really got to take advantage. They took the one
Yeah.
that you could,
I
have some
guess.
fun with, I guess.
Kind of. Yeah.
The
I mean,
rest,
oh, because it was so long ago. It's like, yeah, we can laugh
yeah,
about it now. It's okay to laugh about it now, even though it's
yeah.
still not, but like it's
And it's
fine.
also like all of these references we learned about in history versus like
Yeah.
Vietnam War, that's a paragraph in our history books, and then they
Yeah.
keep it
Well, and
moving
at that
real
time,
quick.
I guess they probably were like, we're gonna get blackballed if we make a show like
It's
making fun of,
actively
because it was
happening.
yeah, current events. So
Bugsy is
you
a
know what happens,
draft
people talk about
dodger.
war now. Yeah, exactly. Ugh. Kellogg's would not
Yikes.
be running advertisements on that kind of show. No, no,
No, no,
no.
no,
They need to
no. I
send
don't
those
think
grains
so.
overseas. Those are
Yeah.
contracts they're fulfilling.
They
Anyways, you
want
want to get
that
started,
money.
Grace? Yeah.
I know we're off to a bad start. We're off to a bad start.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
we'll pull it
great.
back. Pull Revolutionary War Ghost only.
Ooh,
So,
that's it. It's our frame of
anyways, we start off, yes, in our small town that does look like it's the frontier days, fresh off the Civil War times here in the American West. And we learn that this town is called Plainsville. And
Ooh.
as we zoom in on the main street, it's lined with kind of exactly what you picture when you picture like American West frontier towns. It's got like quaint two-story wooden buildings. It's a single main street. There's tumbleweeds rolling by, but we hear gunfire, which is, as we've learned in
Mm.
this show, there's a lot of aggressive things that happen.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we hear gunfire. Then we see two men running out of a bank as the source of gunfire, and they have
Mm.
actual guns that they are shooting
Ooh.
both into the air and into the bank. Um,
Oh.
Starting off real strong. And one of them,
Yeah.
one of these two men, is a little heavier set. The other one is kind of tall and lanky and skinny, but they both have, like, again, the classic Western town getup on. They've got the cowboy boots with spurs, they've got a big old cowboy hat. They are wearing bandanas across their faces. So, with the hat and the bandanas, all we can
Mm.
see is their eyes. Um, and
Mm.
they have, as they just ran out of the bank, bags filled with cash. And they're running out into the
Nice.
town
Good for
square. And
them.
then, yeah, it's successful. They're doing great, honestly, until
Good for them. Yeah.
the bank teller runs out, shooting back at them. And then we see in the middle of the town
Ooh. Stand your
square,
ground.
these two, they didn't have good force then. Well, did we ever? But
This is the Wild West. This is
they
where
had,
these laws all originated.
yes,
Defend
exactly.
your
Like,
property.
vigilante is this bank teller who, yes, shoots back
Yeah.
at the robbers, and we see them collapse onto the ground, dead. That's how this episode starts. Um, and we
Wow.
suddenly
Yeah.
hear, yeah, they were
No
like,
punches pulled.
yeah, exactly. No, no, they're not holding back this episode.
The producers thought we wouldn't take it there. Oh, we'll
Oh,
take it there.
we did. Oh, you said this Revolutionary
Yeah.
War ghost wasn't tough enough, wasn't warlike enough. We'll bring you to a war zone, the American West in the frontier
Yeah. The
days.
Wild West. Yeah.
And these two bodies now are unmoving in the middle of the square. And we hear, I was just like, a work of art,
Yes.
a slow clap emerging
Oh
as we
no.
see a man dressed in a all white suit with a thick white
Mm.
mustache. Maybe it was like a cream colored suit, but it kind of looks
Okay.
like the Colonel Sanders going on a classic frontier man, even though
South
he's
meets
from the
West.
South.
Yes.
Yeah. But he's slow clapping and laughing. And he's like patting the back of the bank teller and looking out to everyone and saying, "Great job, everyone. Tomorrow is gonna be the best Frontier Day celebration of all time, with this bank robbery performance to cap it all off. We now see our
Oh
presumably
no.
dead bank robbers sitting up, also clapping, taking their bandanas off.
Oh,
We learn that they're
oh no.
actors slash local townsmen.
Okay.
This is a
Gotcha.
rehearsal for their Frontier Day performance the next day.
Good.
They're all patting each
Hmm.
other on the back. They're all shaking hands. They're stoked. This is, we learn, an annual celebration in Plainsville. It's called Frontier
Okay.
Day. It's a day full of reenactments, such as Outlaws of the Wild West. It's full of
Yes.
games. It's full of presumably heavy drinking, lots of cosplay costumes,
Mm-hmm.
all of the above. It is the draw for this town. I think even like
Okay.
this is a
Wow.
replica town. The actual town is like down the street. This is a replica
They
frontier
built
town.
one just for, yeah,
Yes, that
just
is
for
how
the festival.
into it they get.
When
So
you said that the guy came out clapping at first, I was mentally preparing for you to say that it was like some sort of Westworld situation where it's like, just kidding, guys, they're all robots, and this is like an immersive experience.
you know what? That feels more
But, yeah,
Jabberjaw than
it
Funky
does.
Phantom.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah, but I'm still in a Jabberjaw mindset. I think for some reason I'm trapped in that.
Always.
My mind is trapped, prisoner to
We can never
Jabberjaw.
escape it.
Anyways, I
But
know.
yes,
Do go on.
unfortunately or fortunately, no, these are all just humans, 1970s,
Mm,
no futuristic robots here. And
yeah.
the man who is clapping is the mayor of Plainsville. He kind of is like the MC of Frontier Day as well. Um, and he's exclaiming that tomorrow all of the visitors will feel like it's back in the day when Bob Dalton and Jesse James were out robbing banks in the American
Mm,
West. So,
mm,
for those who don't know, but I feel like all of you do because our listeners are very smart and worldly.
yeah.
Jesse James and Bob Dalton were both outlaws in the mid 1800s who robbed banks, stagecoaches, and trains, who were both killed by gunshots in either the line of a robbery or by one of their own. And
Live or die by the gun.
oh, yeah, live or die, baby. Live or die free.
Hmm.
Don't tread on
Yeah.
me.
The
And, you
American
know,
way.
here's the thing
Hmm.
is that I was going to do a big deep dive here on the two of them.
Hmm.
And then, I went immediately to Wikipedia.
Yes.
And I quickly realized, Bob Dalton, he was bank robbery, did his thing, died in the line of fire. He robbed banks with his brothers and that kind of
Nothing
stuff.
too
Great, great, great.
impressive.
Yeah, just you're kind of run of the mill famous outlaw of the time.
Hmm.
Jesse James, of course, has become much more of an
Yeah.
icon. Hollywood ate him right up, that kind of stuff. But in my Wikipedia browsing, we realized that Jesse James, like most historical figures, has a complicated past, we'll call it.
Well, yeah.
For example, here, Jesse James, I did not know this because I don't care about the American West outlaw like history or the
Yeah, it's
Hollywood
not your
movies.
niche. That's not
It's
your
not
thing.
it's not for me. But I learned here, we're now all gonna learn here that Jesse James, who yes, became a Western icon with like a Robin Hood tale behind him, was a pro-Confederate, was on the side of the Confederate Army here. He's from Missouri and took that side. He once wore a KKK mask for a robbery.
Eh,
Had no record of ever giving his wealth to the poor, and likely this like
there's a rumor.
martyrdom Robin Hood status was given from Confederate papers who upheld him as a symbol of rebellion against the Reconstruction era of the country.
Oh
Also, he
boy.
obviously killed fucking loads of people during his robberies. So,
Yes.
after browsing that Wikipedia page, I said, "This seems too complicated. I'm not
I
gonna,
mean,
not gonna,
seems pretty
not gonna get into
straightforward
it."
to me. If
All
he
right,
at
good.
least if
Thanks.
he at least had like if the Robin Hood part of it at least like checked out or
No.
something, I would have been like, okay, there's complexity there. But it's like, nope, he apparently didn't even do that. So no, he just sounds like he was a horrible human being.
Yes, he just fucking sucked. And like
Yeah.
it was the Confederate papers being like, look at this iconic girly out
Yeah.
here defending the South.
True icon of our
A
movement. I feel
hero.
like the last movie or show that came out about him that I at least know the name of, like, was like the story of the coward Jesse James, though. So I
So
think
he's
that
getting his
media
comeuppance.
has started to take the turn, like, wait a
I
minute.
fucking hope so.
Confederates wrote these articles that we've been basing all of these amazing
Yeah.
action films off.
Yeah, I
Maybe we
think
should
it's
actually
like
research this guy.
when I think of Jesse James, I think of like old Hollywood, like
Hmm.
Western movies
Yeah.
who, like, were racist. So,
Yeah.
like,
Most of the
they didn't
time.
fact check their sources,
Right. Yeah.
or ask any
Slash couldn't.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they could have
Slash
put in
made a
some work.
yeah, slash they made a conscious choice not to.
Yeah, what about poor Bob Dylan? He also robbed banks and killed people,
Yeah.
and like,
He
I don't
wasn't
know,
a,
was probably
was he a Confederate? I
he
don't
was
know.
probably also racist, but not a
A
Confederate
Confederate
soldier.
soldier. Yeah.
Like
There's like a
guerrilla
slight
Confederate
difference. Yeah, it's like you can
soldier.
be
Yeah.
racist and in the Union and I'll at least like listen to your story.
I'll at
But you're
least,
racist
well, I
and a
mean,
Confederate?
I still won't watch the movie about you,
Yeah.
but like
But I'll like
you
read the
won't have to
Wikipedia page.
make new movies undoing the old
Hmm.
movies
Hmm.
situation. So,
Yeah.
anyways, this was something I learned, so I decided to share, but also was like, this is too much for me to continue going into. And yet
I
here
like
we
how we
are.
still just spent a good few minutes on it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So,
Cool.
dear listeners, back to our story here, back to the Funky Phantom,
That's
back
right. We're talking about
back
Funky
in
Phantom.
yeah, back in time to the 70s, but also back to the
Hmm.
frontier days, back to
Yes.
the outlaw days, back to the old West, where because this is a country episode, this whole time in my head, I was singing the new Beyonce album.
Oh,
I was sitting there going, this ain't Texas. Woo! Ain't no hold 'em. Hey, the whole time. I was getting my cowboy boots on. I was getting my cowboy hat on. I was going to my barn with my horses, the whole 9 yards.
you were ready. You're method podcasting again. Um,
Again, I can't help it.
I'm almost embarrassed to think, other than Westworld, I'm almost embarrassed to say what I was thinking of. That
Let's
wasn't
hear it.
the Wild West, the
Oh,
famous Will Smith
wiki wiki
movie.
wow wow.
This whole
This is
time I've
not
just
the
kind of been
first
humming
time.
wild that song in my mind. We're going
Wow wow
straight
west.
to the Wild Wild West.
Oh, we're
I'm like,
going
yep, I'm
straight
listening to you
to
talk about
the
Jesse
wild
James.
wild
Yep, yep.
west.
Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
that suit, that flat brim
Oh
circular
yeah,
hat lives in
all
my head.
black. Yeah,
You
yeah, it
know,
was a fit.
as I was writing this, I did think about that multiple times and like
Yeah.
kept hoping because we'll get to it in like a second here that like unlike like this episode takes more the Jabberjaw route than Scooby-Doo of like we meet our actual villain
Oh,
like
okay, cool.
unmasked straight up from the jump. But like
Interesting.
in the first couple minutes, I was really hoping that we wouldn't and it was going to get like kind of spooky supernatural, let's say a giant spider, a
Mm.
giant perhaps robotic
A
spider.
robotic mechanical spider,
I
perhaps.
don't
Who
know.
knows? Giant circular chainsaw is just chasing kids through fields. Maybe. I don't know.
Like
But just spitballing.
it wasn't my first hope for the villain, but it was my
Yeah.
first hope for the villain. And I was going to be like,
Mhm.
who inspired who? Like, did Will Smith watch this show and say, wait a second, I have an idea? Slowly put on the hat.
This this is totally unrelated and just a random pop culture fact that I'm just going to throw in here now. And then I
Yes.
promise we'll get back
Has to
to
do
the
with Wild
episode.
Wild West.
It does actually. And Will Smith,
Yes.
he turned down a role in The Matrix as Neo so that he could
What?
do the so he could do Wild West. Yeah, he was going to be Neo in
Honestly,
the fucking Matrix. I think it worked out because Keanu Reeves was absolutely
it's
Neo, but
yeah.
like
But also, I
it
think
didn't work out for Will Smith's budget because Wild West did not do good in the
it
box
didn't.
office. No, no, it was like really critically panned too. In hindsight, it's not a good movie. It's really
But we were at the perfect age.
exactly. Yeah.
to have that movie live rent free in our head every
Yeah.
day.
Agreed.
Like, I mean, like I said, there's cosplay in this episode. Where were there some women in the background dressed like the
Was it
burlesque?
Penelope Cruz or Salma Hayek? Who
No,
was in that? Who was in that
we got to
movie?
look it up. Hold
Yeah.
on.
It was one
It
of
was, I
those.
don't think it was either of them. No.
No, it
Oh no, it's Selma Hayek. You're right. Okay.
was Salma Hayek. Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
See, I mean, the movie obviously had an impression on us. Again, like this, for us, it was great. But like, if you watch it now as a 31-year-old, you'd be like, huh.
You're like, this is no Matrix.
Yeah, exactly. You watch The Matrix 1 now as a
Fucking
31-year-old, you're
holds
like,
up.
holy fuck, yeah, that movie's great.
Yeah. And like Keanu is the perfect Neo.
He is. He
You
is.
know?
Yeah. So like for the sake of like film history, it worked out very well. But
Yeah. And you know what?
man,
That also would have been a hard transition for Will Smith from like his 90s career
Fresh
to
Prince to
Matrix.
Neo.
He
Yeah.
needed to like transition more before he started taking the serious
Hmm.
roles, you know?
True.
It was
Yeah. He
it was a
needed to
longer
mature more as an
trajectory.
actor. I
Yeah.
agree. So,
Wow. You know,
anyways, fun fact of the day.
feel free to continue making every Wild Wild West reference you can
Hey,
throughout
good.
this. Like,
Thank you for your consent.
we're open to it at every moment. So yes, who's to say that Beyonce wasn't inspired by that either? You
I'm
know,
now thinking there needs
did
to be
her
a
research.
crossover. She should have a Wild Wild West themed music video for one of the songs. I haven't listened to her album. Sorry, don't sue me, but
She
like I'm
could
sure there's a
play the
song on
Selma
there that would
Hayek role.
perfectly. Yeah,
And Selma Hayek would also be in the music video because she has
she
not
would be.
aged at all since this
Not
film.
at all. She still looks great.
She
And
looks
then
the
Will
same.
Smith and who else? What's Spader? No, James Spader. Who? Anyway, the whole gang's there still, like, and
Yeah.
they're aged and everything, still playing the same roles. Yeah,
Yes.
Beyonce. We know you're not
Call
listening,
us.
but if you are, call us. We can direct this for
We
you.
have some ideas.
Yes.
So
Anyways.
while this is all happening on the corner, sorry, now I also am just picturing it's not the Wild West, but I mean like similar time period of the 1800s of the mayor in the white suit. I'm actually now just picturing as Leo from Django Unchained because he did his like slow clap.
Handy. Yeah. Good, good. Yeah. Oh my God.
He's got the
One of my
long
best
cigarette.
or one of my favorite Leo DiCaprio roles, hands down. He was
Yes.
amazing.
The zoom
Anyway.
in.
Yeah, and it's him smiling with a cigar.
So that's
Oh my
just how
God.
I'm now picturing. Again, that was the South, not necessarily the frontier,
Thank
but again,
you for
same
thank you
time
for giving me
period.
a reason to watch Django Unchained tonight.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Django.
Go.
Wow. We're gonna get sued for referencing all these songs.
I know, right?
It's okay. It wasn't more than 30 seconds.
It's
We're
fine.
fine.
Yeah, we're fine. We're good.
Anyways,
Anyways,
while all that, while Django and Wild West is happening
it's
out in the
playing
middle
in the
of this town,
background. Yeah.
we see around the corner of the local saloon, not a spider, not Jamie Foxx or Quentin
Aw.
Tarantino,
Yeah.
but instead, one heavyset man who's wearing a large coat and a very skinny, like I described him as pointy man. He's got a really long, pointy nose, um, who are eavesdropping on this rehearsal. And
Mm.
menacingly, they look at each other and say, yes, everyone will be surprised at Frontier Day when they realize that Bob and Jesse are indeed riding again tomorrow. And no one will know that it was a real robbery until it's all over.
Oh, bait and
So,
switch.
yes, trickery is indeed
Mm-hmm.
afoot in this
Yeah.
episode.
Nice.
And you know what? I don't really have any speculation about these two robbers who we've just fully seen. But, you know, if you have any at the end, I'd love to hear it. You know, we can quickly Google the plot of Wild Wild West to make sure if there's any
That it all
crossover.
ties in.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And the next day, it is indeed Frontier Day, and we see our crew here from the Funky Phantom on their way to Plainsville to partake in the Frontier Day celebrations. This is apparently an infamous festival. They seem to know what goes on at it. Skip and Augie are, of course, arguing about the contest at the festival, who's going to beat who, of course, with the goal of impressing April. They're calling each other
Always.
names, including Skip even calls Augie a blowhard. And I was like, that
Oh.
doesn't seem right for a kid's show to call someone a blowhard. Like, it seems more like a 7-year-old
It's
shouldn't be
like,
calling each other blowhards when they're watching this show. No,
no,
yeah.
no.
Anyways, April is ignoring them, and instead,
Rightfully so.
yeah, exactly. She's instead asking Mudsie if he's excited about Frontier Day.
Mm.
He isn't. He doesn't need to reenact history since he himself is history.
I am
I am
history.
history, April, don't you know? And he does say, like, don't you forget, I led the charge at Bunker Hill and captured the French single-handedly. To
Oh
which,
God.
as usual, the kids are like, it was the
Did
British at Bunker Hill, and they did the charging. All of everything you just said was wrong.
you know
But
what? Never mind. Go ahead.
no, go for it.
This is Mudsy speculation, and we've talked about it before, obviously, how
Mhm.
like he clearly was trying to like flee serving in the war, like he was a draft
Yes.
dodger essentially.
Yes.
I don't know. I think he actually was in the military, but you know how there's like military bands and like the military like theater group, and they don't actually do like
The
active like
USO
combat.
version from the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
Hi, fellas. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Gonna beat the redcoats, like doing a whole thing,
Charge,
like
charge, charge.
like that was Mudsy's enlistment. He was not actually a
And
combat
then the
soldier.
one time he actually heard a gunshot, which was just like some soldier fucking up, like cleaning their gun. That's when he
Yeah,
ran.
and accidentally firing. Yeah, he left, hid in his house. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
hid in a nearby house, and then he heard another gunshot, and then hid in the grandfather clock. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, so
Anyways,
he's like
sorry.
everything he said, he's both wrong and not totally wrong. Like Bunker Hill
Mm,
was an important battle. Just the details
yeah.
around it were wrong. So like, yes, he was a soldier, but in what regard?
Right. None.
So, yes.
Everything that he knows about the history is from like the scripts, because they obviously talk about historical things in these little plays and songs.
But
And
he
so
was
like
just
we had a
really
song about
bad
that.
at
Yeah.
memorizing the scripts.
Yeah.
He got him like confused all the time. He was never
Exactly.
the lead of the show.
He's the
He was
backup
always like
dancer.
backup dancer
Yeah.
situation. So that's why he
He was
got
gunning for the
wires
lead.
crossed.
Hmm.
Yeah. But luckily for Mudsy, as he is being corrected yet again, they pull up to Plainsville at this moment. So it is his excuse to leave the conversation and, like make himself invisible.
Hmm.
But this time he says, well, as we colonials say, and looks at Boo, it's time to take a powder. Shall we dust off, Boo? And they
Oh,
disappear. But I was like, to take a powder, are you working on your wigs or are y'all going to go do some cocaine?
well, I
Because
mean,
you know how that Declaration of Independence was written. Lots of drunkenness and drugs.
lots. They
There's
were
gotta
stuck in
be.
a room for all that time by themselves. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, they couldn't sleep. They had to stay awake.
exactly.
Hmm.
Those wigs were white for a reason, just
Yeah. And
dusted with the
after that, it just
cocaine.
became custom.
Yeah, this is the origin story. Mudsie
Yeah,
knows he was there, and he and Boo are about to go, continue that
exactly.
age-old American tradition.
This is why they never sleep.
Exactly. They don't need to sleep.
Yes.
So, as the gang pulls into Plainsville, this Frontier Day celebration is popping off. There are people everywhere dressed in period outfits. There's activities, there's games, there's like historical tours and reenactments. And kind of like I said earlier, like they take this day very seriously and they are not fucking around when it comes to the method acting. There's even a
Hmm.
sign that says if you aren't in costume, like we're going to put you in the town brig.
Oh,
And moments after they read this sign, April, Augie, and Skip, dressed in their normal 1971 outfits, are
yeah.
literally lassoed and thrown into the town jail for being in
There's
modern clothing.
like not even a grace period for visitors. It's like we just
You
got here.
make them go to the gift shop,
Yeah,
churn that
get some
revenue
money.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. This mayor's got some work to do. He's
Leo, what are you doing?
Mayor Candy. Oh man.
Yes. So in this single jail cell, Skip is like stressed, thinking he's actually being arrested. Not that like this is clearly not an actual jail. It says like town brig on it. Like this is clearly all part of the fun and games. Like
Yeah.
you got arrested, you're in the brig, gotta break out. Augie is not bothered at all, announcing he wouldn't mind being locked up here forever if it was just him and April.
I knew it.
That boy is thirsty.
He's thirsty and he's not
April's like,
smooth. It's like
"Oh, Augie, be serious." And he's like, "I am."
I
While Skip's in the corner, like, "What are we gonna do? How are we gonna get out?
holy
How are
fuck,
we
this
gonna
is
get
going on
out?
my record. Oh my god. I can't
Never
afford
gonna get to
bail.
college now."
Yeah. Oh man. Okay.
But before they can figure anything else out, Mudsy appears, um, shocked that they were arrested. And instead of helping them with a jailbreak, all he says is, "Oh, the West is getting wilder all the time."
Going
And just
straight to
to
the
the
wild,
wild,
wild
wild
west.
West. That's what he starts singing it actually in a
Yeah,
performance.
starts rapping. It is Will
He's got,
Smith.
like the little glasses that Will Smith wears in the
Yeah.
film. I
Man,
could
those
see
glasses
Muzzy
are cool.
rocking
Yeah,
those.
he'd
Yeah, he looked
rock
cool as
those
fuck in that movie.
actually. Yeah.
So outside the jail, we see a few things happening at once. First, the mayor is up on the stage announcing the next competition, which is about to happen, which is the horse-drawn wagon race. And it
Mm.
gets started. So it's, people riding on wagons, being driven by horses in like a race. And at the same time, we see, of course, Boo antagonizing Elmo, which through a
Of
series
course.
of shenanigans winds up with one of the drivers of one of the wagons flying out of the driver's seat, which probably got trampled and died.
Yeah.
And in his place is
One could assume.
Elmo the dog, who definitely would have accidentally ran over. Actually, Boo probably made sure that the driver got run over. But
Of course. Yeah. But
Elmo wins the race. And
is
just
that
like in
okay?
the wild, wild west, there are no rules.
Yeah.
So,
I was just gonna say, is that against the rules for the dog to win? But thank you for answering my question
yep,
and
we
reminding
see
me. Yeah.
Elmo getting adoring cheers from the crowd. We see Elmo getting a medal and a
Mm.
ribbon from the mayor bestowed upon him.
Wow.
And I guess he gets one favor to ask. He uses his now presidential pardon to free Skip, April, and Augie because the mayor allows them to be released from jail.
This is too they're getting a little too into this. This town clearly has nothing better going for it.
I do not know.
No.
They
Okay.
get very into Frontier Day again.
Yeah. Huh.
Everyone's an outlaw, everyone's a hero.
Yeah.
You can do
Also,
anything on Frontier Day.
how are they able to interpret Elmo's like his wish or whatever?
You know, I don't know.
Okay.
You know, we just see like ribbon, prize, like, first place medal. And then the mayor unlocking the jail cell and being like, because Elmo won,
Oh, you're free.
you're free. So
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know. But I do
Interesting.
appreciate that that was your main question instead of
Yeah, yeah.
everything else I've said
It's like, yeah, a
ever in
dog
this
could win,
show.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
thing
fine.
that's
Cool.
really confused me the most so
But
far.
how did
And
they
no,
know?
thank
Did
you.
he sign this
Yes.
presidential pardon
Yeah.
with the
Did
paw
he
print?
do they have a translator? Who
Yeah.
knows?
So they have no rules, but you're allowed to pardon
Yeah,
legally?
that's a rule. A
An
dog
executive
can win,
power?
but you can support. Yeah, I don't know.
We have
Whatever.
questions.
Yeah.
We're going straight. to the Wild Wild West.
Wow.
But now freed and pardoned, the crew is
Mhm.
allowed to take part in the fun and games of Frontier Day. They find their way to like a photography studio who's doing the like at like fairs and like carnivals and stuff, it'll have like the wood panel with like figures painted on it and then like a little cutout you can like stick your head
Oh,
into so
yeah.
it like, looks like you're different characters. So
Yeah.
they're doing one of those things, like I don't know what they're called.
Yeah.
So Skip, Augie, and April are doing it. Skip and Augie look like cowboys.
Hmm.
April looks like a little burlesque dancer.
Oh.
The photographer, yeah, I was like, come on, kid show. What you
Okay.
doing?
Yeah.
Again.
Look at this snake burlesque dancer. Snake
Yeah, it
face.
was disturbing. But Augie and Skip loved it. They were like,
I
we'll get
love
on the
it.
other side to make sure your
Yeah,
head's
we want to
in the right
see.
place. April, we'll
Yeah.
check for you. We got you, girly. So, yes, the photographer takes their picture on one of those like giant old-timey cameras and
Hmm.
tells them to come back in a little bit. Obviously, he has to develop the photos. It'll take a little bit, so like come back later in the afternoon. And they say,
Yeah.
okay. They head out to go do more fun Frontier Day things. Just as two more people come in to the studio, and we see it's the two like actors from earlier who were acting like the robbers.
Yeah.
We had seen their faces, like they had taken off their bandanas, so we know it's them. They want to like pose for a couple photos before before it's time to get in character for their
Yes.
big show. So
Big,
they're
a big
having
role.
fun, they're posing, they're having a great time.
Yes.
The photographer takes their picture, but we do see our two, I guess, actual robbers from earlier who are conspiratorially rubbing their hands together and have been clearly stalking. Yes, exactly. Stalking these two actors, knowing that as actors, they're weak and easy to take advantage of. So
Yes.
they're
Hey,
ready to
we know an
strike.
agent who's booking for something. Would you come down this dark alley with us so we
Just
can get
they're
some
right
photos
here.
of you?
They'd love to meet
Yes.
immediately.
Yes. Someone wants your autograph. They're right down this dark
They're
hallway.
down. Come into this room. Don't worry about it.
Yes.
So outside at the festival of Frontier Day, yes, the crew is exploring and having fun, and eventually they know that the big performance at the end of the day is going to happen soon, which is that bank robbery reenactment.
Mhm.
And they want to get good seats. They've clocked that this is the event to go to.
Yeah.
So they get there a little early in order to get a good spot. They pull the loony doony dune buggy like right up to the front to get the best seats in the house. But as they're there a little early, Augie decides to go back to the photography studio to pick up the photos because like it had been some time, it's later in the afternoon. He was like, I'll just go back, it gives me something to do. But as he walks in, the shop is empty now, completely
Mhm.
empty. The lights are off, the equipment's gone, as if no one has ever been there.
Hmm.
But he hears voices coming from the dark room in the back of the studio. So he assumes that this is the photographer back there now developing all of the pictures that he's done for the day so he can like give them out before Frontier Day is over. And, like any good tourist who demands to get their souvenir, Augie just walks straight up to the door with the intent to just kick it down, ruining all the photos also because it's a dark room and you
Oh,
can't
how kind of him.
let
Yeah.
light in.
Right.
That's why it's called a dark room. But he pauses because right as he's about to open the door, he hears voices say, "Did you take care of those two clowns?" And the other voice says, "Yes. Yes, I did." So Augie,
Hmm.
realizing like this seems like a conversation I shouldn't be overhearing, or I'm terrified of clowns.
Yeah.
I
It's like
gotta get out of
maybe
here.
maybe the clown show tomorrow got pushed back an hour and they just needed to tell the two clowns who are
Yeah,
performing that they can show up an hour later.
right, exactly. Like things are running a little late on Frontier Day. That's like the
Yeah.
evening performances. You gotta take, still make sure they're taken care of. You know how diva clowns can be. So, take care, but make
Exactly.
sure they're comfortable.
Yeah, you
Only
got
red
wine and
M&Ms
dine
in
them,
the green
woo them.
room.
Exactly. Those riders, they're hard to get through. So many requests.
Those Frontier Day clowns. the big
Yeah.
act, their big bill, thanks to the big bill of the day.
Yeah.
So Augie smartly starts slowly backing away from the door, but it is too late. The dark room door swings open, and we see that the two actual robbers storm out, but now they are dressed up in the costumes that the actors were wearing from earlier.
Okay.
But we don't see the actors, we just see them in the costumes with no trace of the actors anywhere.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, we don't love to see it happen.
This.
Yeah.
We don't love to see potential murder and
Yeah.
or kidnapping of grown adults, but
Yes,
here we
but
are in the
here we
cartoon.
are in the Wiki Wild Wild
Wild
West.
West.
So these two robbers, actual robbers, immediately corner Augie, asking what he overheard, which is not suspicious at all. They're like, "Hey kid, what'd you hear?" As they like slowly pull out their guns and corner him versus like they could have just been like, "You want our autograph? The big show's about to start, young
Yeah.
man." They could
Right.
have pulled this.
You
They could have,
enjoying Frontier Fest? It's been fun, right?
right? Yeah, you want to be a cowboy one day, kid?
Yeah,
They
no. Hmm. What
did.
did
They
you
did not
see?
badly. Exactly. What'd you overhear?
Yeah.
Where is she?
I just
Why?
thought the
We talked
clowns were
about.
running late.
I just wanted my photo, please. Is
Yeah.
my photo in there though? Could I get it? But Augie is denying he heard anything, and they keep pressing him, obviously very threateningly, and he
Mhm.
accidentally slips out. "I told you I didn't hear anything about the robbery."
Oh God, idiot.
So, exactly. Again, he's the jock, not the brains, like sweet little Skip
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
So, of course, we immediately see them cover Augie's mouth and drag him away.
Mm.
And
Dang.
he's
Wow.
gone. Now
That's I
we don't see what
imagine that
happens to
was
Augie
it's like that's the rest of all you for the entire
for
episode.
this season.
Like they find him at the end, maybe. Also, I imagine that'd be super violent because he's a big dude. So like
Yeah,
you would
as we
have to
learn, he's
like
ripped.
drag him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a
Ooh.
ripped football player.
Yeah.
He's
And like super
17. He's
tall.
pumped with testosterone and energy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he definitely would have fought back. But again, it's one kind of bigger dude, one probably real spunky, skinny dude, probably fights dirty. They're
Yeah.
able to
And
get
some
him.
chloroform and a towel, and you're good to go.
Chloroform's hell of a drug. Do hell of things
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
So, none the wiser though is the rest of the crew, who are anxiously awaiting the show to start any second now. I will say April does seem a little stressed that Augie isn't back yet, but Skip, he is loving this alone time with April. He doesn't
Of
give a fuck that
course. Oh
Augie's
yeah.
gone. He's not watching that clock.
Yeah. He
Um,
doesn't even notice.
yeah, but April's getting a little more stressed. So Skip, he's gotta act like he cares a little, but he can't be
Mhm.
totally cold-hearted. So, he says, like, "I don't want to miss the show though. So, Mudsie, can you go and find Augie? Like, you don't really care about Frontier Day anyways, but go get him and let him know the show's going to start soon. We know he doesn't want to miss it." So he goes off to do that. Elmo, worried about his owner, does join Mudsie, but Boo stays behind for the show. Boo doesn't really care about anyone but Boo.
Yeah.
And we love that for Boo.
Exactly. Good for Bill.
Yep. And so just as Mudsie leaves to go look for Augie, the big show gets started, and we see our two actual robbers riding into town on horseback and shooting their guns into the air, really hamming it up for the crowd who's
Mm.
cheering. They're shouting for these robbers, they're going wild. They ride up to the bank on those horses and storm in, saying, "This is a stick up, put them up." And April and Skip are watching, and April gets like so wrapped up and excited in the moment that she like stands up in the back seat and puts her hands on Skip's shoulders. And we see Skip like smile, he gets this huge smile on.
Oh,
He is
Skip.
so smug until April says, "It's too bad Augie's missing this." And Skip's
Oh,
like, well, I'm not missing Augie.
yeah. When April
So,
felt his bony little shoulders, she was like, "Oh, those aren't
uh,
like the shoulders I rode on last week while we were
yeah, these could
surfing."
not carry me.
Yeah, I miss Augie.
Your clavicle would snap in half, sir. I don't think so.
Poor
So,
Skip.
yeah, she was
Skip,
reminded of
got to
what she
start doing
missed.
those. Got to start
Yeah,
doing some
exactly.
like pull ups
Benching.
and
Come
some
on,
overhead.
bro.
Yeah, man,
You gotta
it's
do
all good.
something.
Oh well.
But in the bank, we see one of our actual robbers holding the teller, customer, and the mayor at gunpoint with what we
Mm,
actually do kind of assume is a real gun since they are real robbers,
yeah.
while the other one empties the safe that had been opened for them. And the mayor, he's having a great time. He's giggling the whole time. He obviously cast himself in the own role as a hostage,
The whole thing
which
was
is
his. He
also
wrote this
very
whole
funny.
script.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's very clear that he is like loving this. He
Mm,
plays one of the hostages every single year. Um, can't stop giggling and is like, "Oh, stop." But one of the robbers is snapping back, telling all of the hostages not to be a hero and to hand over their wallets on top of it,
mm,
which of course they all do because they're like,
yeah.
"Oh,
This.
he's so convincing this
Yeah.
year.
I'm gonna get
Sure.
this back, right?
Here you
Here, take
go."
it. Yeah.
And so the robber who had been cleaning out the safe announces that he got 100 grand from it and that
Mm.
it's time for them to go. Now, I have a brief question for everybody involved, including us.
We are there.
It's yeah, we're there. We're everywhere in
Everywhere.
this
Yeah.
episode. We're wherever the hell Augie is
Yeah.
possibly murdered. We're in the audience. We're one of the hostages. But
We're
here's
one
the
of the bank
thing.
robbers.
We're one of the bank robbers. It's clear that this is a reenactment town. So my question is everybody here just fucking stupid? Like, do the robbers think this is real money? Or did the mayor fill this fake ass bank with a
With real
hundred
money.
thousand dollars of actual cash, like from the taxpayer dollars who are there now watching? Like, who is the idiot in this scenario? Is it real
Um,
money and it's the mayor? Is it the robbers thinking that this is real money and it's fake?
this is tough because I literally could see it going either way.
I know. Like the mayor
Uh,
is so into it. He let
what's
a dog
crazy?
win an award and then
Exactly.
give him presidential executive powers.
Yeah.
He
Um,
could have filled this with taxpayer dollars. He clearly loves Frontier Day.
the funny thing is that, like, yeah, I'm actually giving a lot of deference to the robbers right now, and thinking that, like, yeah, it's real money. The mayor is
Yeah.
stupid enough to put real money in there. Um,
Yeah.
wow, that's crazy. I guess
Yeah.
do go on, and I assume that the episode is going to, because I mean, it wouldn't be a crime if it was. I guess there's assault and like false
Yeah.
imprisonment and stuff if you're like holding people hostage and
Yeah.
taking their wallets, but
Yeah. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's a question for everybody. Again, everybody involved. The bank teller, the audience.
The the bank is like the only real thing in the city that's like the actual bank, and they're
Yeah.
like, okay, let's build a fake city around it. The bank's like on the outskirts of town. They build a whole fake
Exactly. They're
city
like,
around it just
we'll make it
for
more fun.
yeah, exactly. No one ever comes
It's
around here unless they're going to
spicier.
the bank. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's
Huh,
we'll
that is
keep it
such a
in
good
mind. But it's a
observation.
question I really have about this. So
Hmm.
nonetheless, at the very least, yes, the hostages who don't realize they're real hostages do hand over their wallets. So at least we know there's some real money in there.
Yeah.
And the mayor, again, so stoked about Frontier Day, does make the robbers stop and pose for a photo for the newspaper
Oh my
the next
God.
day, which like they gladly do. And granted, like they're all you can see is their eyes, the bandana and the hat on. But that then made me lean the other direction of like, are these robbers stupid stopping for a picture
Yes, also that.
in the
Dang, you're
middle of a
right.
crime?
Yeah. Uh,
So again, is everybody here stupid?
mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So
Not
probably.
even maybe. Yes, probably.
Yes,
Yes. Not even
probably.
probably. Yes, they are all
Most
stupid.
definitely, yes.
Yes.
So after their picture gets taken with the mayor, the robbers run out, shooting their guns into the air. They're hooting, they're hollering, and they run and jump directly into the first getaway path they see. What do you think it is, Alexis? This is another plug, listeners, for our YouTube to get some live reactions of whenever we have a pause, it's because one of us is making a grand facial
A
expression.
face. Yeah.
So where do you
Either
think they jump into, Alexis?
I'm just gonna guess that they're gonna jump into like the loony doony.
They jump right on into that
Okay.
loony doony dune bug.
Perfect.
Yep. And for a second, Skip and 8 Ball are like, "Oh, we get to be part of the act." Until one of the robbers holds a gun to them, like literally like into their ribs and tells them, like kind of quietly, no, this is a real robbery and you better fucking, they don't say fucking floor it, but they say you better floor
Might as
it.
well. Yeah.
So
Shit just got real.
understandably, Skip starts driving.
Yeah. Like,
Um
wow, this act is a little too
this
serious.
is this gun's really cold for a prop
Yeah.
gun.
Ow, ow, this actually hurts. I
Ow,
think I actually
why
have a
does your hip
bruise on.
have like gunshot residue on it from you
Yeah.
shooting into the air? That shouldn't be happening.
Yeah. Mm.
So for a moment,
Oh no. Oh God. Another plug for our YouTube, guys. Grace.
I saw something fucking horrible to say.
Oh no.
It's a real rust moment, you know?
The-
I'm so sorry.
no,
That was mean. I
I'm
take
glad
that
you
back.
said it because earlier when you were talking about the original like run through at the very beginning of them doing
Shut
this,
shot.
I was like, they better check their armor or else they're gonna have a regular like Alec Baldwin on their hands. I was going to make that joke, but I thought it went too far. I'm glad you did not.
Yeah, yeah. I said I took it back, so sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Hey, it's fair. We've made fun of him on this show for that before.
Exactly. Yeah, Alec Baldwin
Not made
deserves to be
fun
made
of,
fun of.
but
It's
yes,
fine.
yeah, he deserves it.
Yes.
Anyways,
So yeah,
so
he deserves the situation. No, him. Yes.
him personally, yes.
Anyways,
Anyways,
so for a moment, this town, who I also now pose and posit, are they also fucking stupid? Are
hmm
cheering that they love this new rendition to how the act ends. They're
ladies
like,
and gentlemen,
oh my God.
he has all of your wallets. Like, oh my God, this is great. They literally stole all of my
Oh
belongings.
my
I
God.
am
And
so
Grand
immersed
Theft
in this.
Auto. This
Yeah.
is so fun. They spiced it up this year. I mean,
Yeah.
we loved what they were doing before, but this we love
The
even
blanks that he was
more.
shooting in the air actually killed a bird. They're going
We
all out. They got a prop dead
love.
bird to throw in the crowd.
Right. Who threw that? It must have been the captain of the high school baseball team. He's
Yeah.
so talented, you
Where did they
know?
get all this fake blood from? That's amazing. The
Wow, this
budget
is
really,
great
I'm glad my
blood.
tax dollars are paying for this.
You know what? Every penny of that 100,000 is correct. I can't wait to
It's
get that
yeah.
money back on my refund this year. My city tax refund, right?
Right. Right.
Right? Right? And that's
Mayor.
exactly what they're all saying to each other, like, right? Right? Because the teller and the mayor are coming out, taking their bows, and then seeing kind of everyone being like, right, they usually turn around and take their bows by now. This is different.
Yeah.
And their worries are indeed confirmed when we see
Mm.
sprinting onto the stage our two actors from earlier
Oh no.
who basically just in their long underwear, like
I
their
knew
long
it.
johns.
I knew they were going to be in their underwear. Why is that? It's like they own no other clothing. It's like, come on, like
You know
I
what?
don't care if you were robbed from your dressing room. Like, so what did you show up in? Did you show
Yeah,
up in?
I will say this is the single time where I'll allow it because they were that dedicated to their cosplay that they were like, yes, it gets cold in the middle of the desert at nighttime. We would wear long underwear back in the day. We are in
Yes.
our period piece, but every other time, no,
Yeah.
shall not
Like,
allow it.
come on. Come on.
This one
Anyways, okay.
time, okay, fine,
Okay, fine.
but
It fits.
barely, just barely though. But yes, they are still somewhat tied up, but they're shouting that they just escaped and that they had been kidnapped. And that, yes, those were real robbers that just took everybody's money
Yeah.
and the actual money of the entire town, I guess. That was probably the
Mhm.
entire town of the city budget was that
Yeah, it was there.
$100,000.
Yeah.
So, well, all of that was happening out in Main Street. Mudsie, who was looking for Augie, wandered to the photography studio to find nothing. There's no one in there, no signs of
Mm.
life, until
Uh-oh.
Mudsie hears noises coming from behind a dark room door, same one Augie had wanted to open up.
Mm.
And so he tentatively walks to it and opens it to indeed find Augie tied up on the floor, struggling to free himself. He's got like a
Mm.
gag in, fully bound
Oh my
by
God.
rope, trying to bust out. And yes, you know that was some tight knots because again, Augie
He
is
could bust
strong
out.
AF. Yeah, Hulk out of there.
Yeah.
But Mudsie unties him, and Augie tells him about the real robbers who kidnapped the actors, switched places, and are actually planned to steal all of the real money. So, with this
Mm.
information, this all was kind of happening simultaneously. So, with this info, Augie and Mudsie sprint into the town square. Mudsie, of course, goes invisible. And Augie runs up right
Mm.
to the mayor, yelling that those were real robbers. But Mudsie looks and sees
I don't
the
believe you, kid.
actors.
I'm the mayor. He's like,
Yeah,
I know what's going
I
on
already
here.
knew
It's fine.
that. And even more
Yeah.
so, Augie's like, wait a second. Why does no one seem actually surprised by this? Why do they look angry at me? Because the robbers, or not the robbers, the actors who were acting like robbers, point to Augie and they point out he was with the kids in the Looney Dooney, the ones who
Oh.
were the getaway drivers
Oh, come on.
for the robbers. He was part of this whole scheme
What the
too.
hell? Oh my
Yep, they don't
God.
realize Skip and April are hostages. They think they were the
Hostages.
getaway drivers. Because why else
Yeah,
would they
Grace, I
not
think
be
you're
in
right.
costume?
These people are idiots.
All of them.
Like every last one of them.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
okay. I guess to be fair, the robber didn't like put the gun in their face and tell them to drive
Yeah, it was kind of
away. He like,
subtle.
yeah, okay, but
And
still, God, they're
yeah, these kids
stupid.
just came in out of the blue. Yeah, no one was
Like, what
concerned
kind of
about
getaway driver drives a very loud and
Dune buggy.
colorful, vibrant dune buggy in the
Yes, and
Wild
again,
West?
y'all stood out from the second you walked into town and got put in the fake jail.
Yeah,
That who's planning all of this?
yeah,
No
okay.
one, because it wasn't the plan.
Because it
But
wasn't a
the
plan. It
town does
wasn't a
not think
plan.
so. And so yes, Augie being like, oh fuck, I'm now part of I'm a suspect now. And the town in classic, what is historically accurate old Western form, a posse forms. One posse
Ooh,
to chase down
on
Augie, the other
horseback.
posse
Yeah,
to follow the tracks and follow the Looney Dooney. I have to
yeah.
say, they take the mayor's car to follow the Looney Dooney, and it is like a
Oh, that's right. It's not
burgundy.
actually the Wild West.
Yeah, exactly. It's a real car, but it's like a
Yeah.
burgundy convertible that on the front of it has tied on like longhorn horns. So I'm like,
Oh,
are we in Texas? What is happening?
yeah. Where
Anyways, there's
is
no
this?
further information as to why that was happening, but it was, and I just needed to let
Oh,
you know. And that's what they're chasing them down
thank
in.
you. Because
But
I don't think that the writers knew. So
no, you sure didn't.
someone had to make sense of it. So thank you.
Yes, exactly. So, yes, as they're running, luckily Augie is able to kind of like sneak away down an alleyway. And Mudsie and Elmo pop up as well, kind of in his hiding spot. Like Elmo, obviously, Elmo's the good boy of the town. They don't suspect him at all.
Yeah,
Um,
he's the
He's a
Presidential
hero.
medal or whatever. Yeah,
Exactly.
honoree.
You got the
Medal of
Presidential
Freedom.
Medal of Honor, the Medal of
Yeah,
Freedom from this
or
mayor.
whatever. Yeah.
And so in this moment, Mudsie realizes that not only are Skip and April gone, but that Boo also was in the Looney Dooney. So he's extra
Mm,
worried now.
mm-hmm.
So out in the middle of the desert, where the Looney Dooney is, the robbers are still holding Skip and April at gunpoint, directing them deeper and deeper into the desert. And they are going like through hidden passageways, like through kind of like rivers, basically a bunch of different ways to like erase their tire tracks in the desert until kind of through some of these like little secret canyons and passageways, they come upon another old frontier, like ghost town type of thing. Except this one looks real. Like this one actually looks historical. It wasn't like rebuilt for a frontier day. Like
Mm-hmm.
these places are dusty as hell. They are falling apart, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But unwilling to go down with the ship and crewmates, Boo abandoned them. He saw that town and was like, we've seen
Bye.
their faces. No one's going to find this town. Skip and April are about to get murdered by these guys. Goodbye.
Bye.
So Boo,
Yeah.
because he's a little ghost, he was invisible the whole time, just jumped right out of the Looney Dooney and started making his way right back towards town.
Mm.
So in the same kind of area, we see Mudsie, Augie, and Elmo on the run. And kind of they had been on the trail of the Looney Dooney before the tracks disappeared. And they're a little confused now. But by the way, they're not traveling by foot. Obviously, the Looney Dooney is gone. They're riding on a donkey that they stole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. For some reason, Mudsie is like on the back, turned backwards, like does not know clearly how to ride an animal in any way, shape, or form. But here we are. So
Okay.
they stole a mule, which is actually a crime, especially out in the West. You can't be stealing, especially the Old
Yeah,
West. You
people's
can't be a horse
livestock are there.
thief. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, goodness
So,
gracious.
in realizing that they've lost the tracks of the Looney Dooney, again, the robbers were successful at kind of erasing their tracks. Mudsie exclaims, "Where in the name of John Paul Jones are we going?" Now, I was confused by this one
Uh-huh.
because I was like, are the writers Hanna-Barbera Led Zeppelin fans? Because John Paul Jones is the bassist, sometimes keyboardist for Led Zeppelin. But like Mudsie only makes historical references, and this is 1971, so it's not
Yeah.
historical. In fact, it's just the beginning of Led Zeppelin. They're only a few years old at this point.
Yeah.
So even though I was
He's
like,
with pop culture though.
true, and I was like, this could be what's happening. And even though I, as stated earlier, was like, I am not going to dive into the entire history of Jesse James and like why we glorified him and the real history of him being horrible. But instead, I said, I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. Oh, Led Zeppelin, you say?
So let me take you through this entirely unrelated to the plot, but important to the plot of me, Grace.
Good.
Piece of information that I now have and I get to share with all of you.
Can I just say too, if you ever write an autobiography, that should be the name of it, The Plot of Me. Grace. The Plot of Me.
Plot of me, colon, Grace.
Great.
I always do things for the plot, so it makes sense. Every bad choice I
Yourself.
write about in that book will be like, I blah blah blah, comma, for the plot. And then continue on.
Yeah.
So it turns out that our Led Zeppelin's John Paul Jones, his real name was John Baldwin, his actual name.
Mm.
But in the mid 1960s, a producer who was a big producer for the Rolling Stones recommended to John that he go by a stage name instead. And he suggested John Paul Jones, which he got. He came up with that name because he had recently seen a movie poster from a 1959 film called John Paul Jones. And this film, this 1959 film, was a biopic based on John Paul Jones, a naval commander in the Revolutionary War.
Oh my goodness. Look at that.
So, our Revolutionary War John Paul Jones is one of the
Is who Mudsey's
handful
talking about. Yeah.
of men, yes, is Munsey's talking about. It is one of the handful of men who sometimes get referred to as the father of the American Navy. And now, here's the thing. I don't totally know why, because at this point, I'm like 6 Wikipedia pages in by the time I
You've
got to
got
the
like a
real.
massive whiteboard with red yarn tying everything
Exactly.
together. You see
All
like
goes back to Led
equations,
Zeppelin. Yeah.
transparent equations scrolling across the screen as you're like
Dates
holding
everywhere.
glasses, books piled up behind you.
Papers everywhere, ink
Yeah.
smeared everywhere.
You're like stressed, pulling out
I'm
your
like
hair as you like
furiously
read.
typing nonstop.
Justin rushes in to like hand you coffee and tea, and you
You
just like
see
smack
like
him out of the
the
way.
green like coding like running across the screen constantly.
Yeah, from the Matrix.
Exactly. You see on the side of my desk a blue pill and a red pill.
Yeah, you still haven't chosen which one, or I guess you have technically if you're seeing the green coding, but yeah, no, you haven't. You're beyond Neo. You can see the Matrix
This
without taking the
research has
pill.
gotten me beyond it.
Yeah.
I'm ready to offer the green or the blue or red pill to someone.
Yeah,
I've become
you're
Morpheus.
Thank
I
you,
suddenly have
John
a
Paul
black trench coat on. The glasses.
Justin is Trinity. He cuts his hair.
He's also the leather tank top. The pants. Yep. Except it all falls apart upon the moment that I admit that I got really bored reading about the first naval battle that's listed on the real John Paul Jones's Wikipedia page, because I think battles are boring AF. So
Yeah.
here's I scrolled down, like he's a really long Wikipedia page, probably because he's one of the fathers of the American Navy. But again, I was like, snooze fest. Let's scroll, baby. And I found out that around the same time, because he apparently was very hard to get along with, and like no one actually wanted to work with him, lol. But at some point he like started doing kind of like probably like some work for like abroad, like in Europe, being like a naval commander as well. And around the same time, the British officially named him as a pirate, at the same time that the French gave him like national hero awards for his actions after the war, which is funny because the English and French hate each other. So it was just like a fuck you to each other, I think.
Yes.
I
love it.
Yes. And then like things took a weird turn and I was like, oh, interesting. Because after no one wanted to fucking work with him, he couldn't get a job, that he was like, well, fuck you, United States, and went and joined the Russians and like was a Russian naval commander. But then
such a good story
fell apart because, like I said about Jesse James, people's actual histories, large historical figures, they're actually all horrible people. And there was some like accusations of some pretty horrible stuff that he did. So then I was like, okay, well, fuck this guy, John Paul Jones, but not the Led Zeppelin player. He's great.
Yeah, he's
probably,
great.
Hopefully. That's I don't know. In my heart, I didn't read his whole Wikipedia page either. So anyways, we're back with Mudsey hanging off the back of a mule saying, we're in the name of John Paul Jones, but not the Led Zeppelin one who just came out with a new album, but the one who's a naval commander, but also had a 1959 film. Are we going? So
I'm glad that they put that subtitle in there.
Yeah, it was, you really have to read between the lines when Mudsey spells it out for you usually.
Thank you, Mudsey.
But luckily, recognizing the groans and complaining of his bestie on the wind, Boo is able to find them and the mule, and they lead him down all of these secret paths to the town. And very interestingly, Boo, or because Mudsey at first is like, Boo, what are you trying to tell us? She's had too much catnip, which I was like, oh, Boo's a girl.
Yeah, interesting.
Doesn't matter in any way, shape, or form. But I was like, oh, you go, Boo. Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. I feel like I've heard them call Boo him before too. Like, but I don't know.
Groovy ghost versus funky phantom. You know what? Boo's fluid. Boo can be whatever
Exactly.
the fuck
Yeah.
they want to be.
Then they,
An
he, him,
icon.
her. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
a
for you, Boo.
trendsetter.
Yeah.
Exactly. We love
Boo
this for
and Mudsy
Boo.
both. They were way ahead of their times.
So true.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
true. So, yes, like I said, Boo leads them to this old, actual, like dusty ghost town out there in the desert. Augie, Elmo, Mudsie, and Boo, they're all together now. They creep into the town and they're able to overhear the robbers who are in the saloon, and they're able
Mm.
to peek inside. And in this like old saloon that clearly hasn't been occupied in a really long time, we see both Skip and April tied up to like a giant beam in the middle of the saloon, unable to move. We know these robbers are good at knots because they tied up Augie, as well
Very
as
well.
the robbers splitting up their real slash fake money.
Yeah. We don't know
Um,
yet.
the
Well, I
jury's
guess some of
out.
it is definitely real. The stuff
Right,
from the
just that's in the
townspeople. Yeah.
wallets. Mudsie is a little spooked about the fact that they're in a ghost town because he usually is. He is scared that they're going to run into some more actual ghosts,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
him expressing that gives them all a little bit of an idea here.
Oh.
So shortly after, as again the robbers are divvying up their money, we hear a low howling in the saloon, followed by the clanging of discordant piano keys in like,
Ooh.
the saloon piano,
Hmm.
followed by the rattling of chains. And as each noise gets added to this cacophony, the robbers start to slowly panic with each new sound, and the sounds continually are growing too. They start to get spooked. And Skip and April, not scared of ghosts,
Of
taking
course.
bets that it's their friends, also start to egg on the robbers, being like, "Did you not realize this is a ghost town? I bet it's haunted." And yes, Skip and April are, of course, right. It is their
Hmm.
friends. We see Augie on the outside rattling some chains. Elmo is like howling into like a pipe that's like going into the building. Boo made himself invisible and is jumping around on the piano keys. We also see that just outside of the saloon doors, they hooked up some, of course, classic Rube Goldberg machine to, of course, try and capture the robbers.
Yeah.
But as the sounds are increasing, the of the discordant piano is increasing. It is time for the piece de resistance, starring who else but our boy, our star, Mudsie.
Ah, yes. His part.
We
He's playing his part.
As always.
Yes.
So we see Mudsie outside the saloon. He puts some spurs onto his boots that he's wearing and makes himself entirely invisible, except for spurs, which if you've ever heard spurs, they like cling as you
Hmm.
walk with them. So he starts walking towards the front doors of the saloon, which of course the robbers hear. They're already in their full panic mode.
Hmm.
And they suddenly turn when the saloon, it has the classic like two swinging doors,
Yeah.
swing open and nobody is there.
Ooh.
Of course, they're shouting and screaming at this point, saying to like show yourself. And Mudsie laughs and says, "Me? I'm the guy who stuffed Jesse James."
Oh. Oh.
So,
Oh. Muzzy.
oh,
Muzzy. You tiger.
you tiger, you Mudsie.
Damn. Okay. Interesting word choice there by the
Okay.
writers. Yeah.
I know. Oh, I wrote it verbatim. Don't you
I
worry.
imagine. I was like, I don't think Grace would just like say that. So
Use that term. Like, that's not a phrase anyone uses.
I
Except for
mean, they
Mudsie.
do, but not.
Again, Mudsie, ahead of his time.
It's time very much.
Like Boo,
Yeah.
an icon through and through. And at this point, the robbers are, of course, fucking out of there. They sprint out the front door, immediately running into the trap that was set, which
Mm,
basically, like, lassos them up and like yeets them into the air,
mm.
causing they had their bags of money with them to drop their bags of money. The cash is
Ooh.
going everywhere.
Yeah.
And we don't need to unmask them because we saw who they were
That's
the
right.
entire time.
Yeah.
And we just cut straight to the townspeople and the mayor honoring the crew, saying that they are always welcome here on Frontier Day. And it ends with Mudsie having finally obtained a period costume and waving at the mayor as they drive
An
away.
old Western. So
So,
I know that we like know what they look like, but we never like
yeah.
learn their names,
Nope.
or do we just assume they're townspeople who were like, oh my God, we can like steal this money instead of just
Yeah.
going to the festival?
Yeah, like
And
perhaps they
we never
actually,
confirm whether it's real or fake money.
yeah, maybe
Okay.
they were like city employees who like saw that it was going to be real money
They
and they were
knew.
just like,
Yeah.
this fucking idiot. But
Yeah.
oh,
Well, okay.
interesting.
And then they turned into the
Interesting.
idiots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So the
Yeah.
tables have turned indeed.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Wow.
we don't see them get
Great
arrested. We see a
job.
lot of people in Funky Phantom at the end get put into cop cars and driven away, but we don't see that in this one. So
Okay.
we're not sure what happens. Or again, Wild
Maybe
West
they're still
rules. They
out
could
there.
be hanging by their
Yeah.
ankles on top of that old
Uh,
frontier town still, and the town is just leaving them
Back
there for the
then,
vultures.
that was like a death sentence. Like, yeah, you go
Exactly.
to the gallows if you rob a bank.
Yeah, goodbye.
So,
So
yeah.
again, the mayor gets
All right.
really into Frontier Day rules. Like
He actually was very excited when
really.
he realized that they were actual burglar or robbers. I keep saying burglar, robbers,
Yeah. He's
because he
like,
was like, oh
oh,
my God,
death
we get to
penalty.
execute people. Yeah, we get to have a whole freaking public show. This is great.
The
We were
mayor
looking
thinks
for a
that
way to
for
fill the dawn
the evening
hour
slot,
tomorrow. Yeah. We
the
were just gonna
mayor
have the local
thinks
band play.
that Frontier Day has the same rules as the Purge, where there's like no actual like
Law. Like everything
like
reverts to
United
law as it
State
was in
law.
1884. So it's
I
basically like Arizona right
was
now.
about to say that. I was about to be like, you know
So
what? He didn't need to
yeah.
pretend that's how it fucking works apparently in this
Yeah.
country.
He has a deal with the Supreme Court in Nevada. He's like, hey, listen, you're going to get some interesting calls from us on this day, but just ignore it. It's just for this
But just
one
know
day.
we never overturned that law on this
Yeah.
one day. It's actually the city's Frontier Day law
Yeah.
from, that this would be an annual festival and that death
Yes.
penalty still stands. So we're
Yeah.
doing it.
So
Actually,
have
we've
at it.
already done it.
We already did it. We're
So
telling you now that we just killed two people who tried to rob our fake bank on Frontier
yeah.
Day. Like we
But
actually killed them. We didn't pretend kill them.
yeah. Oh,
Defense like
also
waves the state constitution. We have a
we
defense.
have it. And also that was real
Yeah.
money. And actually I've just been committing tax fraud all these years for Frontier Day. Because this whole town is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's how he's able to afford a beautiful purple convertible with
exactly with the
longhorns attached to
longhorn.
the front. Yeah. Nice. Amazing job. I
Yes,
cannot wait to
thank
watch
you.
this. Great job. Great
Thank
job.
you. Thank you very
I
much.
wish I
Yeah.
could have made more Wild Wild West
I just
references
haven't
in
seen
it,
it in so
but
long.
yeah, I know, me too. I was like, the only thing I could think of is like, I know the villain was trying to build some big machine to like tear apart the country or something like that. Maybe that's what these robbers were. They were stealing money to give it to
Yeah,
what's his face so that he could build his giant spider,
exactly.
mechanical spider thing to
They were
tear
just
apart
cogs
the
in the
country.
machine of that spider, you know?
Exactly. They were the
Aren't
ones
we all?
turning some of the things down at the
Yeah,
bottom and
exactly.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, God, man, we
So
thought that we'd be able to run away with that money. We didn't know we had to
yeah.
bring it back to him.
Yeah, god damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like as they're hanging up there, they're like, that's actually not half bad.
It's a good
It's better. We
deal.
don't have to deal with that megalomaniac. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Hmm.
So yes, anyways, that was this week's episode. It was a wild ride. It was very
Excellent.
fun. And between
Yeah.
now and next
Great
week, who
job.
should our listeners and viewers tell about the show?
I think this week you should tell an old country western cosplayer. You know,
Oh,
they definitely in some states have these exact sort of like festivals and stuff,
oh
especially
yeah.
out west. So I'm sure you can find somebody who, whether for the gram or for real life shit, dresses up in old western things.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Who should
I
they
think
tell?
after that, you should tell a cowboy.
Mm.
Yeah, either someone who
Carter.
yeah, tell the one and only Cowboy Carter. We told her to listen to this episode to get some tips and tricks for a new music video.
Yeah,
So
just
let her
saying. I mean,
know.
we can pitch a few more ideas. Like,
Yeah, we're full of them.
we're just getting started. Okay,
Yeah.
this was our warm up.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Why don't you go tell Cowboy Carter over there? Let her know. Let her know, come listen. She'll hear you.
Yes.
She cares what you have to say.
If enough people tag her, yeah, right.
Enough people tag her assistants who runs the Instagram will ignore you.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But that's one step closer to being ignored by her. So boom.
Yeah, boom.
Yeah.
Do it.
So
you got nothing to lose.
Exactly. Cool. So
until next week.
Next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.